Okay, so these sessions are going to be very, very interactive in nature. Firstly, I would like to welcome you to our first session of Excel training. If you all have any expectations, any topics that you all would like to learn, any functions, do let me know in the chat box. I can tell you which session we will be covering it. And if it is not a part of the syllabus, I can definitely add it to the syllabus. The idea of these sessions is to help you all to be self-reliant in terms of using MS Excel. We will be using the chat box to communicate. So we will be communicating in the chat box with simple yes, no messages, complete work, done, copy pasting formulas so that I can check them. Because from my end, I will not be able to check so many computers. But yes, I can definitely explore or check the chat pane and check the kind of functions or formulae that you have written. So with that, let us get started with this session. Let me know in the chat box if you are all ready for the session and if you have any doubts or queries. And if you all have the data, just write data yes in the chat box, everyone, if you all have the data set. Data yes, everyone has downloaded and saved the data. I want you all to write data yes for me. In case anyone doesn't have the data, let me know. I'll share it on chat. It was sent as a part of the meeting. So just let me know if you'll have the data, everyone. Okay, sure. I'll just put the data in the chat once. Who else doesn't have the data? What about the others? Do they all have the data set? Okay, the data file is getting shared. I've already attached it in the chat. For those who have it, keep it handy, save it somewhere where it's easily accessible. This is the same data set that we are going to use for all the sessions. I repeat, this is the same data set that we are going to use for all the sessions. So please download the data set and save it. Please download the data and save it.
Now change कर सकते हैं इसको.
Okay, so let us get started. I will begin with something which is very, very basic. So let us understand the hierarchy of MS Excel. Let us understand the hierarchy of MS Excel. Firstly, what is Excel? Excel is a spreadsheet program. Okay. Now, every sheet in Excel is made up of tiny unit. What is the smallest unit in Excel called? Who can name the smallest unit in the chat box very, very quickly? What is the smallest unit in Excel called? What is the smallest unit in Excel called? Quickly in the chat box, I'm waiting. What is a tiny unit? What are these small things called? What are they? Yes? Yes, it's called cell. Absolutely right. So see, these classes, thank you for answering. These classes are going to be very, very interactive. So I'm going to ask you all questions. I'm going to expect a response and I will keep asking you all questions. So please help me to make the session interactive in nature because I feel that is the way that the best learning takes place. Each cell is formed by the intersection of a column and a row. So when a column and a row intersect, it creates a cell. Each cell is unique and it has a particular name. The name of the cell is given over here in the name box. So K column row 9 and that is why the name of the cell is K9. This is formed at the intersection of column P and row 2, and that is why it is called as P2. So each cell is unique and each cell has a particular name which is shown in the name box. Next to the name box, we have something which is called as the formulae bar. What happens in the formulae bar? As the name suggests, in the formulae bar, you will be writing or typing in your functions and your formulae. For example, an average formula, sum formula, count formula, or any other such formulae or function or an if condition for that matter will be typed in the formulae bar. So the formulae bar consists of the formulae within the cell. So first you have the cell, which is the smallest unit of Excel. Then you have the next unit of Excel. What do you think this is called? I'll color it. What is this called? This is a collection of cells. What is a collection of cells called? Quickly in the chat box, what is a collection of cells called? So it's not one cell over here, it's many cells. What is this called? Let me know in the chat box. There's no negative marking for wrong answers, so please go ahead and answer. What is this called? Collection of cells. Yes, it is called as a range. We can convert it into a table. Yes, you are close. So this is called as a range of cells. It is called as a range of cells. Why? Because it has more than one cell. So this is called as range of cells. Now, how is a range of cells named? A range of cells is named by the first cell of the first column and the last cell of the last column. Okay. So first cell is K12. This is your starting point. And what is your ending point? M21. So how is a range named? K12 is to M21. This is the way you will name a range. And when you give a selection, by default, Excel will consider the range. So if you select something like this, Excel will consider the range and give you the appropriate format of a range reference and give you the appropriate format of a range reference. Now, if the smallest unit is a cell and the next unit is a range of cells, I repeat, if the smallest unit is a cell, the next unit is a range of cells, what do you think comes after that? What do you think comes after that? What is this? Insurance data, sample superstore, sheet 1. They are sheets. So the next unit is a sheet. The next unit after range of cells is an entire sheet. Each sheet has a name or it can be renamed. Each sheet has a name and you can either double click on it or you can right click and rename the sheet. Either you can double click on it or you can right click and rename the sheet. After sheet, the topmost unit is called as an Excel workbook. Workbook contains many sheets. Workbook contains many sheets. Now, can anyone answer me in the chat box? What did I share? Did I share a sheet or did I share a workbook? What did I share in the chat box? Anyone? Exactly. I shared a workbook. Why? Because it has many sheets included inside. Superb. Thank you very much, everyone, for your active participation. Okay. So this is the hierarchy of MS Excel. Now, suppose I want to delete this matter. Suppose I want to delete or remove this matter. How can I remove this matter? One method, I hit delete. what will happen? Only the content will get deleted. The text will get deleted. So if I do delete, see what happens? Only the text got deleted. The content got deleted. Okay. But the formatting, this yellow color was still there. Yes, we'll go to clear format. Absolutely right. So we are going to select this, and under editing, we have something over here called clear. First option is clear all. Clear all will clear everything. It will clear your text and it will also clear your formats. So both the things will get cleared with clear all. See this? I'm doing Control Z to undo it. Then I will go and I will click on clear format. Clear formats will only clear the formatting attributes. Clear formats will only clear the formatting attributes. So if I click on clear format, what will go away? Only this orange color. Remaining, all the text matter on my cells will be retained. See what happens when I do clear formats? Only the orange format goes, the coloring. Formatting is your bold, italic, underline, your border of your cells, your cell color, your text color. All of these things are formatting. Click again here, and if I say clear contents, it will only clear the text matter. Can you see what happens? Formatting will be retained. Now, if my question is, I want to clear everything, then I have to click on clear all. Clear all will clear your text matter and it will also clear your formatting. It will also clear your formatting. Click on clear all and the formatting has been removed. Now I'm going to come here, I'm going to write a couple of numbers. Okay, I've written some numbers and I will show you two options. Option A, option B. In option A, I repeat, in option A, what am I going to do? In option A, I'm going to add up these numbers. How? I will write 150 is equal to 150 plus 250 plus 200. So in option A, I'm adding the numbers in this manner. In option B, I'm going to say is equal to sum, open bracket. Select one number, comma, select second number, comma, select third number. Close bracket, enter. Tell me which option is correct. Is option A correct or is option B correct and why? Over here, I wrote the numbers. Here, I have referenced the cells. Tell me which is correct. Option B is correct. Absolutely right answer. So, why do you want to tell, why have you chosen option B as yes? Why have we chosen option? The reason we have chosen option B as the correct answer, because if I come here and change 150 to 550, option B will auto update, but option A will remain as it is. This is because when we use referencing or pointing to the cells, correct? What did we do? Pointing to cells. Okay. We refer to the cell address and it automatically takes the value. So every time the value updates, the answer where you use referencing will auto update itself. This simple action of pointing to cells or clicking and dragging to select cells, right? We do two actions. We point, we click on it, or we click and drag over a range, is called as relative cell referencing. This is the default cell referencing of MS Excel. It is used to copy and to create formulas. It is used to copy formulas, so you can copy a formula, drag it down. And we also use it to create formulas. So with this, we are going to begin with the first simple thing where we need to calculate the revenue. In order to calculate the revenue, we will take the quantity multiplied by the cost. So what are we doing? Quantity multiplied by cost is giving me my revenue. So begin with equal to sign, refer to quantity cell, multiplied by, refer to cost cell, enter. Quantity multiplied by cost. And this is the answer. This is relative cell referencing. Simple action of pointing. Come to the corner and how will you copy the formula? Either we double click or we click and drag to copy the form. If we want to format this in number format with comma separator, we can simply go here and put comma separator. It will format this in accounting or number format with comma separator like we do for Indian rupees. Please try this, everyone. When you all are done, let me know. Definitely, I'll do it again. So we come to this cell which is called F5. Begin with an equal to sign. Select the quantity cell. Multiplied by, select the cost cell. Hit enter. Come to the corner and double. Now, if comma separator is not there, that means it could be in general format and it doesn't have the comma separator. All I have to do is put the comma separator and it will add 1,000 separator form. Now, the problem happens when we go here to calculate 6% of the revenue column. If I come here and I try to calculate 6% of the revenue column, I get an issue or I get an error. Let me show you how the error happens. I will come here and I will say is equal to. Select the revenue cell, multiplied by, select the cell with 6%. Press enter. Come to the corner and when I decide to drag the formula down to copy and create the formula, you will see an error. Just see what happens in the error. So basically this value is multiplied by 6%. It works fine. But when it comes to this value, it gets multiplied by 9,180. And then when it comes to this value, it gets multiplied by this big number. Let me use a shape in order to show you what is happening. So basically this is multiplied by 6. Okay. When we go back and we try to again drag it, it's this. What is happening? Come down here, it is this reference. Go down further and this reference. Okay, so what is happening? This value multiplied by 6%. But this value is multiplied by the cell below 6%. So the references are going at a cross. I repeat, the references are going at a cross. If you want every value, I repeat, if you want every value in this particular column to only be multiplied by this particular yellow cell with 6%, we will need to use the dollar sign to lock this cell, or as we call it, to make it constant. So what will we do? If we put a dollar before G and a dollar before 4, it will lock this particular cell. So let me show you how to do it. Is equal to, select this particular revenue cell, multiplied by, select the 6%. Now we will use keyboard shortcut F4 or function F4. F4 is the keyboard shortcut for the dollar sign. When you press F4, it automatically puts dollar before the column and dollar before the row and makes this particular cell constant or fixed or absolute, so that every value in revenue column will only be multiplied by this G4 cell, which is the 6% value cell. Hit enter, come to the corner, double click to drag the formulae, and here you will see that now there is no error in the formulae, and you will be seeing your updated values for your 6% of your revenue. Please try this, everyone. I'm copy pasting the formulae. If anyone is not familiar with dollar sign or F4 symbol, let me know. F4 is the shortcut. In some systems, you all may need to use function F4, okay? If you all are done for this, please try it for the next one. Okay, please try it for 8.30, everyone. If you all have completed for this, please try for 8.30. Super. Thank you, everyone. Let me show you 8.30 once. Is equal to, select the first cell, that is F5, multiplied by, select the 8.30 reference, use F4 dollar sign, enter, come to the corner, double click and drag it. This particular method or this particular process of locking cells with F4 or dollar sign is called absolute cell referencing. It's called absolute cell referencing, where a particular cell is locked with the help of the dollar sign. And the idea of doing this is to make sure that every value in a particular column is only multiplied by that particular cell. Let me delete this whole thing. And now I'm going to show you something which is working with the Office 365 functionality. Now, if you all have Office 365 or you all have Office 2021, MS Office, then you have access to certain new tools and options. One of them is called the Dynamic Aware Array. It is called as Dynamic Aware Array. The Dynamic Aware Array, as the name suggests, it works with ranges of cells. I repeat, it works with ranges of cells. So rather than multiplying the cell and locking with the dollar sign, the dynamic aware array multiplies ranges of cells, and you do not need to fix your row or column of data with the dollar sign. So let me show you how to do this. This will only work if you have Office 365 or Office 2021. Otherwise, you all can open Google Sheets and try it there. Only you all will need Control Shift plus Enter in Google Sheets. But try it over here first. So begin with an equal to sign. Select this particular range. Begin with an equal to sign. Select the whole range. Which range? The reference range. So we were always wanting every value to be multiplied by the reference column. Now here we are using the equal to sign and selecting the reference range. Since it is a range, you will see that the selection is F5 is to F13. It is beginning at F5, ending at F13. Multiplied by, select the next range, which is G4 is to H5. So we've taken this range, G4 is to H5, and hit enter. Now, if you see over here, a spilled range has been created. Now, how do you know it's a spilled range? First, you will see this bluish bounding box around it. Answer will be the same, but you will see a bluish bounding box around it. Second thing, the formulae is only in the cell G5 and it is spilling over the other cells. So the other cells do not have any formula. The formula region is grayed out from the other cells. Another thing is if I decide to obstruct this particular spill range. So for example, I decide to write my name. I will get a spill error. Can you see the spill error? This shows that I have obstructed a spill range and the matter cannot continue because of this. If I remove it, the matter will come back. Why? Because the formulae cell is this particular cell G5, where the range references and the formula is done. And in the remaining cells, the formulae is only spilling over the cells. In the remaining cells, the formulae is only spilling over the cells. Is it clear, everyone? Can you all please try this? Please try this, everyone. Do you all have Office 365? Is it working for you all? Sure, I'll tell you one more. Okay, so in a spilled range or in a dynamic aware array, as the name suggests, we work with ranges of cells. We work with arrays of cells. So rather than multiplying individual values, we multiply ranges and it performs the function. This formula is written in a particular cell and it only spills over the other cells. So is equal to, select the data of revenue column multiplied by, select G4 is to H4. Press enter and this particular spilled range will be created with a bounding box around it. If I come and I type my name here, I am obstructing the flow of the formula. Which cell is the formula in? In G5. But it is flowing over the other cells. And by writing my name, I am obstructing that and I will get a spill error. In order to avoid that, I do not have to write in the cells where the spilled range is getting created. I repeat, I don't have to write in the range where the spilled range is being created. Please try this, everyone. Okay, can you share your screen, sir? I'll stop sharing. You can share your screen. Probably because you do not have Office 365. Maybe that's why you're not able to. Are you sharing your screen, sir? I've given you access. Which version are you using of Excel? Are you aware? So probably because you're using a lower version, you do not have this particular function. Yeah, maybe because it's 2019 plus the version, it does not have it. Sorry, can you stop sharing? Yeah, okay. So you don't have that option. You can try it out in Google Sheets if you really want to try it by using Control Shift Enter. Control plus Shift plus Enter and then enter again in Google Sheets. You can do that. Yeah. Okay. Let us go ahead now and let us talk about total. Now, total, in order to find out the total revenue, we can use a simple sum function where we will say is equal to sum and select and drag over a range. But if we are adding numbers which are not one after the other, then you will use comma as a separator. You will use comma as a separator. So you will say is equal to sum, open bracket. Can I do this and add this? No, because in between there are empty rows. At the moment it is empty. But if in the next 2 days it gets populated with some numbers, it will affect my answer. And that is why when they are non-adjacent or they are widespread or far away, you will select one cell, comma as a separator, select second cell, comma as a separator, third cell, close bracket, hit enter. So here you can use comma as a separator when the cells are non-adjacent. However, for revenue, the cells are one after the other. So you can do is equal to sum, bracket open, select the range, enter. And here I have the total or the sum of this particular range of cells. In order to find out the minimum or the least value, I will use a function called min. Is equal to min gives me the smallest value from a range of cells. So the least value can be given to me from min function. So is equal to min, select the range, enter, and here I have the minimum value or the least value of this particular range of cells. Please try everyone, sum and minimum function. Okay, let us go to max. Now, if min function is giving you the least value in a range of cells, max function, as the name suggests, will give you the highest or the maximum value within a range of cells. So, is equal to max, as the name suggests, maximum, will give me the topmost value or the highest value within a range of cells. So is equal to max, open bracket, select the range, close bracket, hit enter, and here I have the maximum salary or the topmost salary within a range of cells. Please try this, everyone. Okay. Now what happens is we think max is max, minimum is min. So when we come to average, we presume that probably average will be AVG. But in case of average, the whole spelling of average is taken. I repeat, but in case of average, the whole spelling of average is taken into consideration. So is equal to average, open bracket, select the range, and here it will give you the average salary from this range. Now, how is average calculated? Total divided by number. So they will add the value in these 10 cells and then divide it by 10 to get me this particular number. And this is the average value from this revenue column. Please try average. Okay, good work everyone. Now let us come to second smallest value. Now here there are 10 items. If I need the second smallest value, I could see the min function, smallest value, and then check the next value which was very, very close to. But if I have 5,000 entries or 8,756 entries, finding out the second or the fourth or the third smallest value can be quite a pain. And that is why we have the small function which gives us the smallest value from the range and also asks you which smallest value you want. You want the fifth smallest value, you want third smallest value. It asks you and you can tell Excel which smallest value you wish. So here is equal to small is the name of the function which gives you the smallest value. This function has two parts. One is array, which stands for your range of cells, and the next part is k, which stands for number, that is which value you want. You want second smallest, fifth smallest, or fourth smallest. So let us begin with is equal to small. Array stands for your range of cells, comma, k stands for number. Now, if I want second smallest value, my number or my value of k will be 2. If I want the fifth smallest value, my value of k in that case will be 5. So depending upon the value of k or the number you want, you can choose that and insert it in the small function to get that smallest value from the range of cells. So here I'm going to say 4 because I get the fourth smallest value, say okay. And here this is the fourth smallest value in terms of revenue. This is the fourth smallest value in terms of revenue. Let me copy paste this in the chat box. Perfect. Good. Are you all done with this? Please try this, everyone. Okay, great work. Small gives you smallest value. Which function do you think will give me the largest value? Which function will give me the largest value? Anyone? Yes, absolutely right. So large function will give me the largest value. So how does large function do? Again, it stands for the range of cells. That means where are you searching? Whether you're searching within 10 cells or 10,000 cells. And K stands for number. That is which largest value do you want? So let us come here and let us do is equal to large, open bracket, is equal to large, open bracket. Select the range of cells, comma, and now we will give the value of k as 4 because within this range, we want the fourth largest value. Hit enter and we have the large function. Please try, everyone. Complete the sheet, everyone. If anyone has any questions or queries, or if anyone wants any topic to be repeated, you can let me know. Um, it is Control plus Shift plus Enter in Google Sheets and then enter. Let me show it to you. Okay, so for example, is equal to select this range multiplied by select this range, control shift enter and enter again. So it is control shift enter, then you do an enter again. This is how it will look in Google Sheets. Let me show you one more time. Is equal to select the range multiplied by select the other range, control shift enter to put it in array formula and enter so that it applies it to the entire range. I hope this is clear. Try it again with this method, it'll work. Super, great. Now, let me go to the next topic for today. And the next topic for today is converting data into tables. Now, here I'm going to list some of the advantages of converting your data into table or tabular format. I'm going to convert your data into table or tabular format. For that, the first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you that there are multiple methods of doing something in Excel. Okay, so you can do Control T, convert your data into table, or go to insert and then convert it into table. Whichever method you use to convert your data into table, your data will still get converted into table. That's the first thing. The second most important thing that I need to tell you is there are certain advantages of table tool. Firstly, you can quickly sort and filter your data, right? You can quickly sort and filter. You can apply table formats to your data. So you don't need to format each cell. You can apply table formatting to the whole data. Then you can easily create a pivot. You can easily create a pivot table. Fourth, if you add data in your table, your pivot only needs a refresh. It will take in all those extra rows of data and auto update your pivot table with a single click. Okay. Also, in a table, the range is created with absolute reference. So that means with the dollar sign. So that means the range is created with a dollar sign with absolute cell reference. Okay. Still there are more advantages. You can get a total row at the end of your data. So you can have like a total row at the end of the data. You can also use a slicer, that is a visual filter, to filter your table. Can anyone think of any other advantages of data in table format? These are some of the advantages I have written. Also, your headers remain intact when you scroll within your data. Come on, can anyone think of any other advantages? Anyone? Any advantages? Can anyone think of any advantages? Okay. Now, which is the data we are going to convert into table format? This insurance data. Now, before we convert this insurance data into table format, the first thing which I need to explain to you here is understand the data. That is the first step that you need to take. So here in row 1, you will see your header rows or your heading for your table. You will see the heading for your table. First column is called transaction type. Second column is called city type. Third column is called number of units. Fourth column is called net asset value. And fifth column is called online. These are the 5 different columns of data. If you want to check which are the columns of data which have numeric values, so there are 2 columns who have numeric values. One is column C, which is number of units, and the other one is column D, which has the net asset value. These are the 2 columns which have data in numeric format. Okay. In order to convert this into table tool, all I have to do is be inside the data anywhere and do Control A. Now, Control A has 2 applications. If you are anywhere on a sheet and you do Control A, the whole sheet gets selected. I repeat, if you are anywhere on a sheet and you do Control A, the whole sheet gets selected. But if you are within a data set and you do Control A, only till where the data exists or extends, only that much gets selected. So Control A inside a data set will only select that particular data set. I repeat, Control A inside a data set will only select that particular data set. Then either we do Control T, same create table pop-up will open, or under insert, we will go and click on table. Whether you do a Control T or you go inside the insert tab and say table, this same pop-up or dialog box will open. Now, what does this dialog box have to say? First, it will ask me, where is the data for your table? So, my data for my table is already selected here. But if you see the selection a little closely, you will see there is dollar before column, dollar before row, again dollar before column, again dollar before row, which shows that the range is a fixed range. The range is an absolute range. So if I refer to this table across sheets also, I don't need to lock it because it's already locked. And in the formula there, if I drag the cells, my reference of my table will not change. And that is why it is safe to say that a table makes use of absolute cell reference or the use of, as we call it, dollar sign. Applying the dollar sign will lock this particular range of cells by putting a dollar before the column, dollar before the row, again dollar before column, dollar before row. So this will lock the whole table. Then under that you will see my table has headers. Now does your table have headers here? Yes. Transaction type, city type, units, net asset value, online. These are all headers for my table. These are all headers for my table. If my table does not have headers, I can uncheck this. In that scenario, Excel will add its own headers. Column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Okay. So if there are no headers, Excel will add its own heading. But for now, because there are headers, we have to say my table has headers. Click on OK. And here, as soon as I create a table, the formatting of the table will come into being. I can change the formatting of the colors. You will see a new table design tool. Opening up, you will see the name of your table, which is table 2. And here you will see all the table related functionality. Please try this, everyone. We'll wait for the other participants to also complete. Okay, let us go ahead and now let us explore some of the table related functions. Firstly, let us talk about scrolling. If you are within the table and you scroll, you will see your headings remain here and you will not need to use freeze panes to lock your cells because your headings are intact. So you can scroll through the data. The next thing is we can come here in the drop down and here you can see that we can sort the data. So I can sort this in ascending order. I can sort it in descending order and I can also come here and I can filter it whereby I only want to see data for B30. If I only want to see data for B30, all I have to do come here and check the other two locations. Let B30 be selected and click on OK. And here you can see I have filtered the data. And how do you know the data is filtered? Because in these rows over here, you will see gaps in the middle, which enables us to understand that some of the data is missing because it is hidden as we have run a filter over it. Please try this much, everyone. Please try this much, everyone. These are the two things which I need you all to do. Please try, everyone, and let me know. Okay, super. Let us proceed now and let us explore some of the sorting and filtering related functions. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between sorting data and filtering data? What is the difference between sorting data and filtering data? What is the difference between sorting data and filtering data? Okay. Sorting data is basically arranging data. So we can arrange data in ascending order. We can also arrange data in descending order. So sorting is arranging data. In sorting data, the quantity of the data or the volume of the data remains the same. Also, entire rows move up and entire rows move down in case of sorting data. Then let us go to filtering of data. Firstly, a filter can be cleared. Can you see this? Why? Because either you apply the filter or you clear the filter. In filtering data, the quantity of your data or the volume of your data gets affected. I repeat, the volume of your data or the quantity of your data in case of filtering gets affected. And that is why you will see gaps in the rows and gaps in between rows when you filter data. Why? Because that data is hidden and you are not able to see that data. That data is hidden and you are not able to see that particular data. So what is sorting data? Sorting data is arranging data in ascending order or in descending order. Filtering data is affecting the volume of the data where you only see a part of the data based on the condition or the criteria that you have applied. Now filtering, if you do it for text, you can simply click on the drop down. You can choose the items that you want to show. Suppose I only want to show data for T30 and old. Here now I'm able to see the data only for T30 and for old. To clear the filter, come click here and you can clear. If you want to check on these columns, has a filter been applied and where has it been applied? All I have to do is scroll here and here you can see the symbol of the filter. Symbol of filter or filter sign shows filter has been applied and equals old or equals T30 shows you the condition based on which the filter is applied. It shows you the condition or the criteria on the basis of which the filter has been applied. Now, let us go further and let us go ahead. In order to clear the filter, once you've applied it, I repeat, only when you have applied the filter will you get the clear filter option. Only once you've applied it will you get the clear filter option. So now if I see, I will not see clear filter. It is grayed out. Why? Because currently no filter has been applied. Currently or at the moment, no filter has been applied. So when you're doing it text-wise, this is the way you can do it. Now, in filter, there is yet another way of applying a filter. In filter, there is yet another way of applying a filter, whereby you can come here and click on text filters. In text filters, I can say begins with and I can say T and city type beginning with T will only be shown. I will show you one more time. Click on the drop down, click on text filters, click on begins with and here write T. Can you all try this much please everyone? Can you all try this everyone please? Okay. Now another very common thing which we get when we are filtering data is we get data and we need to filter it based on a particular data series. So let me clear this first. And we get the option to filter data based on a particular series. Now, what can the series be? Suppose I only need SIP from here. So from the transaction type, whichever contains SIP in it, I need it. So go to text filters, click on contains, and here write SIP. Click on OK. And now you can see the data for SIP, ESIP, SIP info, all of them. So here you can use contains in order to look for a particular data series. You can use contains to look for a particular data series. Please try this, everyone. Contains. Great. Now, just like you have text filters, let me clear this. We also have a number filters. Now, you may have noticed every time I'm applying a new filter, I'm clearing the previous filter, then I'm applying the next filter. Why do you think I'm clearing the next filter, the previous filter, and then applying the next one? Can anyone tell me? Why do you think I'm clearing the previous filter and then applying the filter? Exactly, because the whole data is not visible. I'm seeing a portion of the data, a part of the data. And if on this filtered version, I apply another filter, I am applying the second filter on a part of the data. So I will not be seeing accurate or precise values. And that is why whenever we apply filter, we always clear the previous filter and then apply the next. Now, just as we have text filters, we also have number filters. For example, in net asset value column, if I want values which are more than 100, will I sit manually and start selecting which are more than 100? No. Instead of that, I will apply a number filter which will say greater than or equal to 100, which will say greater than or equal to 100. Click on OK, and here I will see the data for the net asset value, which is greater than or equal to 100. Here I will see the data for the net asset value, which is greater than or equal to 100. Can you please try this? Net asset value greater than 100. Please try. Please try. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, how do you clear the filter? Click on the drop down, click on clear filter from net asset value, and it will clear the filter from the net asset value. Click on net asset value, it will clear the filter from the net asset value. Let us go further, and just as we have greater than 100, I can also look for values between 50 and 100. I can also look for values which are between 50 and 100. When we look for net asset value or any number values between, We will say greater than or equal to 50, but less than or equal to 100. So in case of between, it will be greater than a number, less than another number. Click here, click on number filters, between, and here I will say greater than 50, and here I will say 100. So here they will say show rows where net asset value is greater than or equal to 50 and it is less than or equal to 100. Click on OK, and here I have the values of the net asset value between 50 and 100. Please try, everyone. Now, let us clear this and let us apply on another example. Let us clear this. Let us apply one more example before we proceed with the next topic. Now, in the number of units, you may notice in the number of units column, there are certain negative values. If I want to run a filter whereby I only want to see values which are positive in nature. I repeat, if I would like to apply a filter where I would like to see only values which are positive in nature, I will say apply a filter on the number of units where the values are greater than 0. When I say greater than 0, it automatically means that the values are positive in nature. So click on number of units, number filter, greater than, and all we have to say is 0. Greater than, and all we have to say is 0. Click on OK. And here you'd only see positive values. You will not see any negative. Perfect. Please try this, everyone, before we go to the next part of your table tool. Okay, let us proceed. Firstly, I'm going to clear the filter. Okay, after clearing the filter, go to table design, and under table design, we have different table related formatting options. The first thing is the table style. So when you apply table or when you convert data into table format, it automatically gets a formatting like a tabular type arrangement where the header rows are bold and in a particular color and the other rows are also colored. This is called as table style. Now, the important peculiarity of the table style is when you remove the table, that means when you remove your data from table format, and you convert it back again to a range of cells, the table tool will lose all functionality except the formatting. That means now if I select this data and I convert it to a range of cells, I repeat, if I convert this data to a range of cells, you will see that all functionality of table is lost. That means you can no longer sort and filter quickly. Your header rows will not be intact when you're scrolling. You cannot add a slicer or a visual filter. But one thing which will be retained in your table tool will be your table style. So only table style will be retained. Rest all functionality will be lost. I repeat, when you convert data from table to a range of cells, we convert from here. I will be showing you in a while how to convert. But when we convert it to a range of cells, you will see that it no longer has any table functionality other than the table style. Under table style, we have other table style related options. For example, if you want filter buttons, you can let this be checked on. Otherwise, you can close it. If this is closed, you will not see the option to filter your table. Then you can have your first column in bold. Okay, you can have your last column highlighted. You can have banded columns, you can have banded rows. Banded rows and banded columns gives you alternate light and dark colors. Can you see the difference between banded columns, banded rows? And you can have your header row also on or off. If you don't want your header row, you can turn off your header row. Okay, but right now our header rows were given to us with the data, and that is why we will let the header rows be on. We also have something which is called total row. That means at the end of the data, it gives you a new row where you can have your sum, your minimum, your average, your count, and other mathematical functions. So click on total row, and here you can see it has counted the number of transactions and given you. Click here, and I would like the average net asset value, so I will say average. If I want the total number of units, I'll click on this drop down here and say count, sum, sorry. Can you all try this along with the total row options? If you don't want the total row, put the total row. If you want the total row, put it on. Please try. We'll wait for 1 more minute for all the other participants to finish exploring these options before we proceed. Anyone has any questions or any queries, you can let me know. Okay. Now, if you want to add, I'm going to close the total row. If you want to add a new row of data, you will have to close the total row and then add. So for example, if I come over here and I'm going to call this ESIP and I'm going to call it T60 and I'm going to write number of units, I'm going to write net asset value, and here I'm going to make it online sale. Here, if you see, I've added a new row. I'm going to change the color of the row also so that I can draw your attention to it. Now, if you noticed, when I created the table, there were 28,615 rows of data. Correct? Now, actually speaking, when the table was created, it was only till this purchase. But when you add new rows, they auto update and eventually become a part of the table. So when new rows are added, the table automatically increases in size, takes that into account. So when I go to table design, the name of the table is table 2. When you go to the name box and you click on table 2, whole table 2 will be selected. And when I scroll to the end, this orange row will also be taken into consideration. This orange row will also be taken into consideration. So can you see in my selected area of table 2, which is the name of the table, the orange row is also included. The reason I highlighted it with a different color is to draw your attention towards it. Let me try adding another row after this. Let me call this ESIP again. Let me call this T30. And this is my units. This is my net asset value. Online sales again. Come back here and click on table 2. And when you scroll to the bottom, you will see that this new row has also been taken. This new row has also been taken in the selection. Come to the corner, scroll, and here you can see that it has included this in the selection. So when you add new rows of data, your table, though it has used $sign to create itself, though a table uses absolute cell referencing, but when new rows of data are added, it takes them into consideration. This feature of the table is very, very beneficial, especially when you convert data which is in tabular format into a pivot table, or you use data which is in table format in order to perform functions and formulae. Please try this, everyone, before we proceed. If you want to name a table, okay, if you want to name a table, so by default, when you create a table has a name, table 1, table 2, table 3. These are the names given by Excel. But if you would like to give a table a name, you cannot have spaces in the table name. So I can call this insurance data as one word, or I can say insurance underscore data. Click outside anywhere on this ribbon or tab so that the name gets saved. Often we don't do that and the name does not get saved. See, now the name has got saved. But if you don't click outside and your cursor is still on this and you are typing and then you go and perform any other action, it does not save the new name. It still continues to go with the old name, which is table 2. Please try renaming your table, everyone. Please try renaming your table. Okay, let us continue. Everyone has completed naming their table and adding new rows of data. Now let us understand how to apply a slicer, which is also called as a visual filter. Now, you can filter your data from here by clicking on the drop down, right? But a slicer is a visual filter which enables you to visually filter your data. A slicer is a visual filter which enables you to visually filter your data. So for that, we will click on the table, and under table design, you have something which is called as insert slicer. Under table design, you have something which is called as insert slicer. This slicer gives you like a button type arrangement where you can click and visually filter your data. So the items which are there in your table, those column headers is the topics where you can choose your slicers or they are the columns on which you can apply your slicer. So I can apply my slicer on transaction type, I can apply on city type, and I can apply on online. Let me try applying on city type. Click on OK. And here I have my button type slicer which is appearing. Yes, here I have my button type slicer which is applied. And as soon as the slicer appears, you will see slicer on top here. And under slicer styles, you can give color to your slicer. You can give color to your slicer based on your overall look, feel, and theme of your Excel work. If you want to increase the size of your buttons, these are your buttons of your slicer, you can increase the buttons from here, the size of the buttons and the width of the buttons. If you want to change the height and the width of your buttons, you can horizontally drag it and you can make it smaller like this. And increase the number of columns so that you don't have to scroll and you see them in one horizontal line. Now, when I click on B30, you will see only data of B30. Can you see this? Clear the filter. That is your slicer. When I click on old, I'll only see data for old. If I want to click on old and I want T60, I have to click Control, hold down Control on the keyboard and click on T60. Now I'm seeing the data for old and I'm also seeing the data for T60. Click here and clear the slicer. Click again on B30, hold down Control, click on old, and you can see the data for B30 and for old. Clear the filter from here. Suppose you want to take all the data, okay, which is consecutive in nature. You can click on one item, hold down Shift key and click on the item you want to stop at. So starting point is one item. Hold down the Shift key and click on the last item. The slicer will take all the items into consideration. So Control for non-adjacent, right? So if they are not one after the other, you use Control key. Shift key for one after the other, right? Please try. Control key for non-adjacent and Shift key for one after the other. Please try this everyone. Apply one slicer and see how it's working. In order to clear the slicer, you have to click here and it will clear the slicer. I'm going to delete this slicer and I'm going to apply a slicer on transaction type. In order to apply the slicer, you have to make sure that your table is always clicked on or selected, even a single cell. And under table design, you can use the slicer option. Click on transaction type, click on OK. And here I have applied my slicer on transaction type. Now, when I initially create a slicer, you will see clear filter is grayed. Why is clear filter grayed? Because currently no filter has been applied. It is only after the filter is applied will you get the option to clear it. Let me increase the number of columns so that I can see the items properly. Increase the size of the buttons. Now here there are a lot of items to filter on the basis of. So here the shift option will be very handy. So if I want purchase to SIP everything, I will click on purchase, hold down shift and click on SIP. So everything from purchase to SIP will be considered. Clear the filter. If I want alternate ones, click on bonus, click on control and click on alternate ones. And in this way, I have selected multiple items using the control key. So if you are doing non-adjacent, use control. If you are using one after the other, use the shift. Now, next to this slicer, you'll also see a slicer multi-select option. Now, what does multi-select do? Multi-select, as the name suggests, selects multiple items. So when you click on multi-select, it selects everything. Suppose I only want bonus and transfer out to be removed. I'll click on bonus, it will exclude that. I'll click on transfer out, it will exclude that. And it will take into consideration everything else. So you will see everything. ESIP, purchase info, purchase redemption, SIP, SIPTI, STP in, STP out. Everything except, that means it is excluding bonus and transfer. So what does multi-select do? It selects everything. And then you just remove what you don't want. So when you want to select 20 items, rather than manually selecting 20 items, I suggest use multi-select and then exclude those 2 items. How do you clear the slicer? Again, clearing is the same. Clear from here and again apply for me. You have to, multi-select is a toggle button. So when you don't need it, make sure it is unchecked, or this is when multi-select is enabled. Click again, it is disabled. Enabled and disabled. Okay. Please try multi-select everyone. And let me know if you all have any questions or queries. You can also change the color of your slicer at any given time from the slicer styles. Anyone, any questions and any queries? Okay. Now, if you see over here on the top of the slicer, you will see transaction type. This is the same as the column header from where it was picked up. This is the same as the column header from where it was picked up. We can also go and from slicer caption, change the name. So if I want to keep it transaction mode, I click outside and I can change the name. So if I'm okay with the name of the slicer as the same as the column header, I can go ahead with it. But if I want to make any modification from slicer caption, I can go and make the changes and it will change it in my slicer. Now, a very common issue that we all face is often when we apply the slicer. Suppose I apply the slicer and delete my slicer. How will I regain all my data? Now, since I had said from the very beginning that a slicer is a visual filter, what does it do? It visually filters your data. So based on that concept, taking it further, since it is a visual filter, if you want to clear the slicer and by mistake, if you have deleted it, all you have to do is go to the column where you see the filter symbol and say clear filter. And here it will clear your filter and give you the entire data back. Here it will clear the filter and give you the entire data back. Please try this, everyone. Applying a slicer, clearing it. Are you all there on the call? Because I cannot get any messages or any done or anything from you all. Are you all trying this? Is slicer working for all of you all? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Please try the slicer. How do we get back the slicer? You'll have to apply it again. So for example, if you want it again, you'll have to again click on the table, go to slicer, click on transaction type, click on OK, and you'll have to apply it again. But you'll again have to give it the slicer style which you gave earlier, like the extra columns or the color, all that you'll have to do again. And even the name, you'll have to again give the name again, which you had given earlier. going to sample Superstore here. I'm going to sample Superstore here in order to show you that if you apply more than one slicer, the slicer works in tandem or in sync. Actually, I can apply it on this only and show you. So suppose over here, I go into table and under slicer, I apply two slices. I apply on transaction and city type and I click on OK. Now suppose over here, I'm just increasing the size. Suppose over here, in transaction type, I choose SIP. Now, in transaction type, when I've chosen SIP, city type, only 3 cities will be available, B30, old and T30. T60 won't be available. Why? Because under transaction type SIP, T60 city type doesn't fall. I repeat, because under transaction type SIP, city type T60 does not fall. Now, the reason for this is, let me give you a better example. If I take north, south, west, and east. Now, if I have over here okay. Now, suppose over here, I choose, okay, north. So I choose north as my slicer. Only these cities or these locations which are under north will be available. The other data of this will all be grayscale. It will be grayscale, like this one. So let me show you on sample Superstore. We will apply on product category and subcategory. So let's do a control A, control T and say OK. Under insert slicer, I'll apply one on category and subcategory. Click on OK. These are my two slicers. Category is obviously the main slicer. Subcategory is a subdivision because the subcategories fall under the categories. Now see what happens. When I click on furniture as category, only items which are in the subcategory of furniture will be available for selection. The rest will be grayscale. Similarly, if I click on office supplies, only subcategories relevant to category as an office supply, those will be available for clicking, rest will be grayscale. So this shows that a slicer works in tandem with another slicer when they are applied to the same data. So can you all please try this everyone on sample Superstore? Can you all please try this on sample Superstore? Okay, good work everyone. Let us proceed. One second, let me delete these slicers. Let me go back to the insurance data. And here also I will just clear the slicers and then delete them. Under table design, we have the name of the table, okay? And we also have insert slicer in this tool section. Now, if you want to convert this very quickly into a pivot table, we will click on summarize with pivot table. And here, from this table, which we have given the name insurance data, we can create a pivot table from here. Okay. So when we do pivot table, we will be taking examples of data in tabular format. Let us go ahead and let us talk about converting data which is in table format into a range of cells. Now you have applied a table. You may say, I want to remove the table. How do you remove the table? You can remove your table by converting your data into a range of cells. To convert your data into a range of cells, click on Convert to Range. You will get a prompt which will ask, do you want to convert the table to a normal range? If you click on Yes, it will convert this into a normal range of cells. As I said earlier, you will lose all functionality of the table. That means when I come here and I scroll, my headers won't remain intact. I don't have the option to quickly filter or sort. This is not a $ absolute range. I cannot go and see my total row at the end. My slicers will also not be available to me. But what will be retained? Formatting of table style. Your formatting of your table style is the only element. I repeat, it is the only element which will be retained when you remove the tabular format from your data. In order to remove this, I'll do a Control A and I can come here in the clear option and say clear formats. Clear formats is okay when you only have number values. But if you have dates and you do clear formats, for example, if I select this data, I come to this sheet and I'm pasting it here. If I come here and do clear formats, you will see a number. What is this number? This number is nothing but the number of months from 1st Jan 1900. It is the number of months from 1st Jan 1900. In order to convert this into numbers again, I will select it and from the drop down I can say short date and it will convert it into date format. So this is a very common issue which we all face. When we remove formatting, we not only lose the coloring, the borders, the alignment, all of those things, we also lose the coloring from the cells. We also lose the formatting from percentages. We lose the formatting from dates. And in order to take care of this, you will have to select it and from the drop down, you will have to change it to a short date format. Here, since there were no number values, which were dates, and there were no values which were percentages, we did not face an issue when we removed the formatting. Maximum what we lost was the font style. However, it went to the default font of Calibri and 11 in font size. So we have only lost the formatting, okay, by clicking on clear formats. So clear formats is very handy when you want to convert your data back into a range of cells and you want to remove the formatting of the table. You can use the option of clear formats. Okay. Any questions, any queries, anyone? Does anyone want anything to be repeated? The session is going to be recorded, so I will make a playlist with every day or every session's link. So anytime you'll want to go, if you'll have missed a couple of minutes because you all were on a call or something, you can always go and refer to the link. Let me review or session 1 at a glance. We began with what is Excel, what are cells, then we went on to referencing, okay, simple auto sum functions, followed by absolute cell referencing, using table tool, slicer in table, okay, and we also did layer formatting. This is all that we have covered in today's session, which is session 1. I guess let us call it a day. If anyone has any questions or queries, please do let me know. Our next session will be tomorrow at the same time. So please make sure you all connect for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow's session, we will be talking about the if condition, count if, sum if, and the average if functions. And we will be exploring conditional formatting in detail, where you will be learning how to format cells based on a criteria or a condition in order to apply formatting to it. So conditional formatting can also be applied within a pivot table. So we will be taking that knowledge in the next session, and next week we will be covering pivot table and VLOOKUP. So please make sure everyone that you're connect tomorrow on time. Do try and apply what you've learned on your own data, which you use in office, so that if you have any doubts or queries, you can always come back to me with your questions, queries, and we can solve them together. Anyone, any questions, any queries?